I'm just going to say thank you for coming out here, folks. It was a pleasure having you all. Good night, everybody. No, this is The Shield Against Midnight, a Call of Cthulhu game set in 1969. Good night. When last we left our group of intrepid CIA agents and ne'er-do-wells, they had made it to the island of Muichua. And I'm going to go ahead and get it out of the way now. I don't speak Vietnamese very well. I'm going to fuck up every single pronunciation possible. But they had finally made it to the island of Phu Quoc in the little town of Mui Chua. After reaching their before reaching their destination, they faced quite a bit of trouble in the storm, including some strange sea creatures trying to pull them into the briny depths, as well as unnatural waves. But our heroes persisted and made it to their destination, upon which time they discovered a photographer for a magazine that everybody made fun of me for like 20 minutes, and it really hurt my feelings, guys. I cried myself to sleep that night.
Okay.
Bullshit.
Yes, absolutely.
Feels.
But there was a brief conversation between our resident doctor and our resident hottie before we decided to call it for the night, just leaving things a little open-ended now that they've arrived at the village. And that's where we left off, and where we will resume tonight. Sun is rising over the small village of Muichua, and our heroes are probably really fucking worn out, and nobody got any good... I mean, people got sleep, but I wouldn't say they got good sleep. That being said, as Parvana and Sage walk down the docks and sort of head back towards the houseboat, I'm going to need both of you to roll willpower for me.
Willpower?
Power. Sorry, I forgot it's just called power. I always think of it as willpower because that's basically what it represents in the game. Okay.
Angie starting off the night with a success.
Okay. Both of those are good rolls. Now, what's everybody up to?
Where did we spend the night?
On the boat.
Yeah, on the boat. The night was spent during the storm.
Okay.
I think Gwen got a little bit of sleep. I think when we got into clearer waters, she did take a bit of a nap.
Oh, but we docked last time, are we not?
You are docked. Yeah,
We're
it's
we're
just
sleeping
morning.
on the
Well, it's just morning now, as in your trip was
Oh!
at night.
boat. Okay.
Your trip was at night. The transit to the island was in the middle of the night. You would have slept through it, except there was a little bit of sea Satan happening.
Yeah, no, for some reason, the way that you worded it made me think that in the time since last session, we had had a night's rest, but that's not the case. I know where we are now. Okay.
Yep.
Gwen would be strolling around, letting Rocket sniff and pee on stuff and be a dog and stretch his legs and everything, which sounds stupid, but is exactly what he should be doing. Like, he needs to go to the bathroom.
Well, it's going to be awkward, a little awkward trying to find a spot for him to pee, considering that this is a largely, I guess aquatic would be the right term for the village. It's basically half the village is built out on the docks.
And
But
one of
he
the
could always just
posts
piss.
he's gonna piss on. Like,
He could just pee on a post or something.
who cares?
Yeah.
No one's going around licking the piers anyways.
You hope?
Yeah.
I really
definitely.
hope.
I mean, there's Cthulhu involved. People be crazy. They do crazy things. No, I think, Jay, you said you're actually going to get on the radio?
Yeah, Chase had pretty much made introductions, deferred the cost of parking there, and then went inside to make contact with Da Nang, considering what happened the night before.
Absolutely. And as you get on the radio, there would be the usual brief static before you're patched in through. And of course, you would have to go through the usual levels of security to make sure, well, not the usual levels of security. You're patched in on a secure frequency. But there would be a moment before a familiar voice would pick up on the other end. This is Lukowski. What can I do for you?
Lukowski, I need you to take a message.
Sure, hang on. This is brief. You can briefly hear, well, the radio goes silent for a moment. I keep forgetting this isn't a phone call. You're not going to hear everything that's going on. You actually have to physically turn the radio on to speak to the other side. The radio goes silent for a moment before you hear Lukowski come back on the line. All right, go ahead.
We are on site. Enemy contact was made approximately, what time was it last night? 2:30?
2:30-ish, yes.
Ish. In transit. Have evidence. No casualties.
All right, absolutely.
Get that to Hutchinson if you would, please.
Well, he should be arriving later today.
All right, please, if you can, have him advise when I call back. I don't think it would not be a good idea for you to contact us. We won't necessarily be here to hear it.
Absolutely. I'll make sure he's on site when you report in next. Anything else?
No. But yeah, like I said, definite contact.
Absolutely. I'll make sure it happens. All right. This is Lukowski. Over and out.
Over and out.
Okay. So you've made contact with home base, reported that you've made contact with the enemy as well. Parvana. Actually, no, I know what Parvana's been up to. Sage and Parvana are the ones who wandered off the boat. Anderson's not here right now, so I think we've heard what everyone was doing as soon as they got to the docks. So you've had a little bit of time. You've reconvened, I'm guessing, on the boat. The dog's been walked. You've met with the strange blonde photographer. As you get back to the boat, what is everybody up to? What are you going to do? Do you have a game plan?
How long do we have until the day that we're supposed to be there to observe?
The final day, the actual day, now it's going to be 2 days away. You've basically got all of today. Actually, I should say it's 3 days away because you've got all of today, one more day, and then the day. The day of in the little black book. So more or less you have 3 days until the event.
Okay. Chase is going to call for people to get some rest then. At least advise it.
Okay.
Gwen will happily do so.
Parvana's not going to disagree.
Sage actually fell asleep on the boat, so I guess she's going to be awake, but probably probably didn't get that good of a sleep, so she's at least probably going to go lie down.
Yeah, and you would not have gotten more than like 3 or 4 hours, so you'd be about as tired as I am right now.
We put Anderson on watch.
Yeah, Anderson would be on watch. Okay. Are you setting an alarm? How long are you sleeping for? Are you just going to sleep through the morning into the noon?
I doubt we'll be able to sleep a solid duration, but so no, not really a alarm.
Well, as two of you lie your heads down to get some rest, namely Parvana and Sage, as you're settling in the boat, you're both struck with a piercing headache. The sort of headache, it almost, Parvana, you might recognize it, almost feeling like dehydration. It's that sharp pain in your temple right behind your eyes, just piercing and constant. Not really insufferable, but it's definitely an irritating pain. with some effort, you would be able to get to sleep regardless. But it is going to interfere with the quality of your sleep. And of course, it is just frustrating in general. Headaches are never fun.
If it's like if it feels like dehydration, Parvana's going to probably get up and try to diagnose herself, pinch the skin, see if it sticks, see if she is actually dehydrated.
Would you like to give me a medicine roll? You might be a little bit dehydrated because while you were at the helm of the ship, you weren't really paying attention to hydration last night. It was very stressful. But this is too severe a symptom for what you would be experiencing. There might be a little bit that, it's the hot environment, what the Army medic or the Marine medic warned you about. But really, you shouldn't be feeling this sort of sharp headache right now. Unless it's an other medical cause, it's definitely not dehydration, and it's not something you're going to easily be able to diagnose right now.
So
Okay, so if Parvana's actually like checking her skin, I would probably notice this, right?
Yeah, if you're in the
And I'd
same
be-
room, absolutely.
Well, we're on the houseboat. I thought it would be sleeping quarters. Probably wouldn't be too far away, would they?
Probably not. And there'll probably be bunks upstairs.
Okay, I'm assuming that we're like trying to sleep in probably the same room on bunks, but I could be wrong.
It'd probably be a couple of people per room. So if we wanted to get real technical about it, we would sit down and figure out who's bunking with who. But I don't care. So yes, you see Parvana doing what looks like a small examination of herself.
Parvana, do you have a headache?
yes, piercing one. Thought I might be dehydrated. Doesn't look like it.
Dan there?
Oh yes. Shit, I forgot to push to talk. Yes, piercing one. Thought I might be dehydrated. Doesn't look like it. Right behind the eyes.
Strange, I do too. Would Gwen or Anderson be in the room with us, or Chase?
They'd be within earshot if you want to call out to them.
Anybody else have this headache?
No, nobody else has this headache. They might be feeling a little bit crummy from lack of sleep and a little bit of dehydration. As I said, nobody was paying attention to drinking a glass of water while getting dragged under the waves. But they might feel a little crappy, but they're not going to have the piercing headache that you do.
Could be wrong, but I think that was in character.
It was.
Oh, sorry. Sorry.
Fine.
My bad.
Gwen would probably be like sprawled out on some bench thing. She'd just look over and be like, "No, my head's fine. Are you seasick or something?"
No, I'm definitely not seasick. If I would have gotten seasick, it would have been sometime last night.
I don't know. Maybe it's all just catching up to you. There is a fucking hand rotting in a drawer a few feet away from you.
It's in a baggie.
Eh.
Can Parvana check her pretty much physical symptoms versus Sage's?
Absolutely.
Just essentially ask a few quick questions, line it up, run the same test on her, like the same quick battery.
Yeah,
Keep it
and
up.
considering that you got a hard success on your medicine roll, I'm going to go ahead and say you don't need to roll for that again. But the symptoms are identical.
Well, look. From what I can tell, from what you say and what I can tell, we either have something similar or the same. Have them monitor at us to make sure that it's not. Make sure as it develops that it's not some subtropical illness, but of what I can think of off the top of my head, hopefully it's not something that I'm to do with last night, and if that's the case, there's just some things medical science does not cover.
Yeah, after last night, I truly believe that.
Do you think you can sleep through this?
I can at least try.
I do have some sedatives you would like.
No, I used to be able to sleep in an orphanage, surrounded by other girls. I'm sure I can figure out something.
Much the same way. I haven't had a quiet place to sleep in a long. Tell me how you feel in the morning. I'll compare it to myself.
Of course.
Peter.
When you wake up.
I'm going to say sorry now because this is probably the most Sage is going to talk the rest of the night.
Gwen would actually take a second and, like, once that conversation had ended, she'd kind of sit there and think for a minute. And she'd go, where did you guys actually walk off to a minute ago?
I just wanted to talk to.
I'm going to go ahead and interrupt you there.
Oh,
As you try to recall what you were doing when you were down on the dock, it's strange, but the memory seems a bit fuzzy. You can recall you were talking to someone, but you don't know what they looked like. And you can't remember why you were talking to them. And the more you focus on it, the worse the headache gets.
Wait. I don't remember the blonde dude in the middle of the. Fuck.
you don't remember the National Topographical Magazine?
It's National Topographic Magazine, okay?
Oh, I'm so sorry. I fucked that up.
National Topographical Magazine is about ointments.
Oh, God. But no, you can't find yourself remembering the blonde gentleman. You simply remember that you were speaking to someone, although you can't remember why or what they looked like. And like I said, the more you try to focus on it, try to pull that memory back from your brain, the sharper that headache gets.
Are you having trouble remembering too?
I can't remember a single thing. And it gets worse. Oh my god. I try and it just gets worse.
Jesus, I didn't mean to cause you pain. Just that's
No,
fucky.
please. Gwen, take a note. When we talk about this,
Alright, she scrambles to sit up.
remember at this point how we answered, and when we wake up, if you can remember, ask us the same question.
Oh, okay. And she starts fumbling around for, like, a piece of paper or something. I'm assuming that she found something to write with stub of a pencil. If nothing else, I imagine she would carry, like, a tiny little notebook and a crappy little pencil and Rocket's harness. So,
Right, and write down under that hazy memory, intensifying headache. She tries to think of the best way to put it into words.
Gwen just writes, they look really fucked up, and they sound funny.
All right.
In addition to what Parvana asked.
We all need to get sleep, or this will not be good.
So Sage is gonna go back to her own bunk. She's gonna turn around and go to sleep because, damn it, she can.
Yep. Absolutely. Ugh. It would be a while before you're disturbed again. This time by something a little gentler. Soft rap of knuckles on the door of the houseboat.
Gwen would probably wake up fairly easily. She had a little bit of sleep on the ride over. She just kind of clumsily roll off of whatever she was sleeping on and go to answer it.
And Sage is just gonna sit up on the bed, and she probably didn't sleep that well, but she was a lighter sleeper, so she probably wasn't actually deeply asleep. So she's probably gonna easily wake up and at least sit up.
Well, as Gwen goes down to see exactly who it is, she would find Anderson opening the door just a crack, enough to scowl into the interior of the houseboat, as well as reveal that on the other side of the door, well, on the dock where the houseboat is currently moored, is the harbor master with another gentleman. They look very cheery. The sun is significantly higher in the sky. It's not quite noon yet.
Harbor Master. That means Chase.
Yeah, Gwen would just she would start to be like, what can I do for you? And then she'd realize almost immediately I don't speak any language that they speak. And she'd just kind of give them the 1 minute finger and go back into the boat and yell something about, someone's here and I can't talk to them.
Chase would just his eyes still. He's probably not lying down so much as sitting in a chair with his eyes closed and his arms crossed. And as soon as the yelling starts, he just kind of pops an eye open and just kind of shakes his head. Stretches, stands up and walks downstairs and opens the door.
Sage is gonna
Hello, how can I help
follow
you?
him.
We managed to get some space for you to set up the clinic.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful.
Yes, it seems that one of the peppercorn farmers has a shed that normally he would use for drying fish, but he's not. His brother, the fisher in the family, passed away a year or two ago, so the building's doing nothing right now. Not the best smell, but it's a nice space, open, clean, definitely clean. But it would be good to set up a clinic.
We will take anything that's available. Thank you so much. Good Lord bless you. I hope that we can put this to good use and help the people of this village.
The harbor master, as well as the man behind him, both just sprout into big smiles and nod their heads. Thank you, thank you. Again, thank you so much for anything. We always appreciate the generosity. Would you like us to? Would you like me to show you to your to the farm?
Yes, please, just one moment.
Absolutely, absolutely.
We had lied down after our long journey last night.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm sorry to disturb.
No, this most assuredly takes precedence. Let me just wake the sisters and we'll be on our way. So Chase turns back around inside and he does not start yelling because, there's barely any walls on this boat. And walks over and starts waking people up. Telling them to, get ready for an excursion.
I'm awake.
Now, Sage and Parvana, as you wake up from your nap, you find your headache has more or less subsided. You still feel that sort of dull pinprick against the back of your eyes, but it's not as sharp or harsh a pain as it was before.
Can I just ask out of character if they still remember the same stuff that they did when they went to sleep?
Yes.
They do?
Yes, they still remember the same stuff when they went to sleep. They would not have recovered their memory at this point.
Right, but it wouldn't have gotten worse either.
No.
Okay, just curious.
Okay. So, if the headache's gone, would Gwen be asking then about the
Nah,
What are
not
we
not
talking
when they're like with people looming and they're about to move.
Okay, well,
She just kind of fold up that note that she scribbled down and shove it in her pocket somewhere and get her shit together to go.
Chase, should I bring my supplies?
I would recommend it. In fact, I would bring whatever you don't want left here.
All right, everything it is.
What about the hand?
That for now can stay here.
All right.
Well, after everybody gathers up their supplies, what they're bringing with them, what they're not willing to leave on the ship because Chase is right to be paranoid, the harbor master and the younger gentleman with him would take a step back so that everybody could easily get out onto the dock and smile and nod at everybody as they come off, just very pleasantly welcoming them.
So can I make a paranoid check?
Yes, absolutely. Go ahead and make a paranoid check.
He's going to basically try to read the dockmaster.
Okay.
And especially the farmer, since he's the new occurrence. I probably won't, but we'll give it a shot.
Okay.
Ooh.
Hey, there we go.
As far as you can tell, the harbor master is sincere. And as far as the farmer you can tell, he's a little bit slow.
Ah.
He is definitely not a bright cookie. He does seem to be sort of, whereas the harbor master is greeting everyone as they come off the boat, the farmer is lagging a little bit behind. He's one or two sisters to the rear. Well, he's one or two sisters behind as he's having a little trouble keeping up.
So when you say slow, you actually do mean physically slow.
I mean physically and mentally.
Oh, okay.
Little a column A, little a column B.
Are you just talking about like the big bumbling giant of a dingus?
Oh no, he's not a big lumbering giant. He's a tall but lanky man.
What was the guy? It was like, I think his name was Bobo from Of Mice and Men. That's always what I think about when I think about like slow mentally and physically.
Yeah.
Anyways, sorry.
Sage is just going to be looking around for holy fuck. Anything unusual?
Everything. Everything in this dimension and otherwise.
Yeah, exactly. At this point, actually, the docks are very slow right now. What you're not going to spot anything specific. You're not going to see any threats. No sniper on the horizon. Nobody specifically watching you. But what you do notice is a lot about your surroundings. Right now, as the sun is up, higher in the sky, and it's mid-morning is slowly transitioning into noon. Most of the people are gone. All that hustle and bustle that was there this morning as people loaded up on the ships is done with. In fact, most of the boats are very much gone from the docks. You can see a few out into the horizon, but most have disappeared into the deep blue sea. And there's a definite stillness over the area. The village itself is similarly quiet. Not a lot of the shops are open. Not a lot of the vendors who would be normally catering towards the fishermen are out peddling their wares because there's just not a lot of people. The children are in school. The few farmers are further into the village than you can currently see, but also they'd be out tending to the peppercorns right now, not really in the village. So what you see is that in the middle of the day, the place is mostly dead, for lack of a better word. There's just nothing going on. And it gives you a good sense of the villagers' schedule, that as the fishermen leave and that is the lifeblood of the village, everything just kind of dies down. And you expect it would pick back up again around the evening when the fishing ships return.
So nothing really out of the ordinary, though.
Nothing really out of the ordinary, but you've gained some insight into the villagers' schedule.
Okie dokie, that's awesome.
But as you walk through down the docks, you come across that area you'd been to before on the conversation you can't quite remember why you were having with somebody who can't quite picture their face. The dock again spreads out into a much wider affair with multiple buildings dotting its wooden surface as you come into the village proper, but it's still built out on the water. You can hear the waves gently sloshing against the support beams underneath the wooden floor of the village. But you're led through this, and again, it's very quiet. You see maybe one or two other people, including a couple of children who are either running errands for their parents or just simply skipping school. You wouldn't be able to tell. They scatter as soon as they see the harbor master. But he leads you through the village, and you get a distinct feeling that this place actually wouldn't be a terrible spot to live. The buildings are well maintained. Everything looks relatively clean. It's definitely suffering from that weird transition of a colonial or of a French colony to a modern nation, where some buildings are a little bit older than others. But unlike the coastal city you were with, this place is prospering. It's doing very well.
Can I interject super quick?
Yeah, go right ahead.
Because I didn't want to interrupt you, but rewinding shortly to when they're walking past the part of the dock that Parvana and Sage had been talking to Mr. Stranger. Gwen she didn't go with them, but she was in the area enough to see where they were walking off. And I honestly don't expect this to come up with anything, but can I just roll a spot hidden to see because she would kind of look around and be like, obviously something fucky happened to them. So she's just
you're just trying to see if, as you kind of walk by that area, see if you can see anything fucky? Okay.
Honestly, neither her nor I would expect to find anything, but I figure it's worth a roll.
Go for the roll.
Nope.
No, you look around a little bit, and then Rocket kind of gets under your feet and stumbles you, breaking your concentration.
I thought you were going to say, like, breaking my nose or something. I'm like, I didn't fumble it.
Yeah, no, that was not a fumble.
Neck.
No, that was not a fumble. That's just, he got under your feet and broke your concentration.
What a dumbass. All right, carry on.
But you walk through a brief jaunt through this floating village. And as you get sort of closer towards the center of the village, you realize that it's split into two sections at the mouth of the river that runs into the island. And there's bridges that crisscross it here and there, some looking more rickety than others. But for the most part, nothing is really built over the river so that ships can still go in and up the river. You cross one of the less rickety bridges, but you get the feeling that maybe the harbor master picked this bridge, despite another bridge being faster, just for your comfort. And head on into the actual land, where your feet are going to find dirt for the first time in about 24 hours. This is
Rocket
where
is very excited. It smells like dirt. He likes that.
he does take a moment to roll in it.
Ah, dog.
Puppy.
Parvana, I will punch you.
But the buildings, unlike on the floating wooden platforms, here are a little more spread out. This is clearly farmland, and you can see the peppercorn stalks sort of growing in fields, not far off the water. More or less, you go down a well-worn dirt road and come to the second house on this road. But rather than going through the home, the harbor master kind of opens a gate and gestures, at which point the tall but slow farmer takes the lead, and the harbor master leaves you. The farmer would...
Before the harbor master goes, if the harbor master's leading, Parvana will look to Sage. Sage. No, wait, she wouldn't say that. Sister, could you tell the harbor master something for me?
Sure.
Could you tell him to make sure that the fishermen of the village are more than welcome to get checkups at the clinic as well? that it is welcome to all?
Sure. So Sage will turn around and be, Sir, the doctor would like to make sure you realize, speaking Vietnamese to the harbor master, the doctor would like to know that all the fishermen and villagers are welcome to come to this clinic.
Oh, absolutely. I'll make sure to pass it along as they come back. Is that all?
Was that all?
Parvana nods. Parvana nods.
Then, thank you so much for finding us this place to have a clinic.
Absolutely. You should have plenty of time to settle in. It'll be a few hours before we start getting the village back to life again. And then he again smiles, nods a few times, and walks down the road.
Actually, before he really has enough time to do that, Sage is gonna be about how much more time until people do you think might start coming back from fishing?
The harbor master pauses, thinks for a moment, holds up an arm to check the watch on his wrist. He has to thump it a few times to get it working. I would say about 5 or 6 hours.
Thank you so much, sir.
How far are we from the village?
You are probably half a mile from the village. A little bit less.
Okay, out of character question, how far are we from the point that is mentioned in the Black Book?
The actual geographic point?
Yeah.
No, the topographic one.
Oh, God damn it.
Oh God, the sass!
I am so regretting for what I thought what was going to be just a silly one-off joke. Gonna regret
Never-
this for the rest of my life. Anyways,
Never just have a silly one-off joke.
yeah,
Oh,
no
don't-
joke.
Don't worry, I'm gonna have the grave next to mine is going to be engraved Jim Wizardo.
Yeah, yeah. As for how close you were to the actual physical coordinates on that map, fairly. When Hutchinson first brought out the map and showed it to you in what was it?
India?
No, I think that was in Germany that they first looked at the map. But it's basically the mouth of the river is the direct point.
Sounds
You're
like
on
you
push to
need
talk.
someone to draw you a map.
I'm sorry. I'm gonna have to use tools to understand that. So, I'm sorry. What was that again?
It's at the very mouth of the river where the ocean meets the river.
Yeah, but how far is this location from that?
Little less than half a mile, because it's sort of where the ocean meets the river is where the village ends and the land begins.
Okay.
So more or less, it's the center of the village physically.
That's gonna be complicated. All right.
I'll draw you up a map for next session.
No, I get it. I'm thinking, and of course, being sick is making that slow.
Yeah, absolutely.
Slow, yeah, slow sounds about right.
Spinning beach ball of death, kind of a thing.
Yup.
Well, we have coffee and stereo here.
Let's see, we got 2 people sick, 2 people running on less than 5 hours of sleep. Dan, what's wrong with you?
I'm still getting over illness.
All right, so we're all fucked up. Gotcha.
Yep.
Carry on.
Absolutely all of us.
Anyway, does the farmer stick around, or does he saunter off? Like do we know what
Well,
direction he leaves?
You're not actually going to be set up in the house. He drags you past the fields where you can see 3 or 4 people working to what is a shed. It's a wooden building with a dirt floor. It smells not strongly of fish, but faintly of fish. There's a couple of tables and some farming gear that's been leaned up against the wall. And as you as he leads you to the shed, he pulls up one of the seats and begins taking off his boot. Well, his shoe. And as he takes off his shoe, he reveals one of the reasons why he was physically slow, because the man has a very large blister between his big toe and the whatever the hell the toe next to the big toe is called.
Middle toe, second toe.
Second toe.
I don't know.
Other toe.
Yeah. But
Toe
he's got
number
a
2.
big ol' nasty blister right between his two toes.
Parvana, I believe this man needs some help.
Well, let me take a look at that.
Sage is gonna go up and ask, "How long have you?" And Vietnamese asks, "How long have you had this?"
It's been about a week. Just been walking on it. Don't get many doctors through here. What the fuck accent am I doing right now?
I'm like, oh god, we're becoming southern here.
I'm
In
gonna
Vietnam.
turn around and tell and say it verbatim to Parvana in Arabic. Why not?
So she's gonna take a look and just pretty much see if this is, maybe a blood blister or the type of blister that theoretically could last that long. Or if it looks something like abscessed or infected.
Actually, I'm not even gonna require a medical roll. It is infected. It looks as if this man, he got a blister and then kept walking on it, so now it is infected. It's not a bad infection, but it is infected.
All right. Well, I'm gonna, because we're still in the setup area, right? Or are we?
Well, you're in the space that they set aside for you to set up a clinic.
She's gonna look up to Sage and say, "Tell him that it's good that we saw this now, because if it's taken care of now, it will be able to make it get better quickly."
Sage is just gonna sit there and be translator.
Okay, that works. The man would just be like, "Oh, I didn't think it was that serious. It didn't hurt that bad."
And then she's going to, if you have pretty much have Sage say that if he has the time, she can set up and start treating it now.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. That's why I'm here.
All right. Well,
Is there anything I can do to help? And he starts to get up out of his chair and put the infected foot back down on the dirt floor.
No. Just we need to keep that elevated and clean for a little bit.
He just obediently sits back down.
And then
Sage is just gonna search her sit back. Doctor, why don't you sit back down?
she's going to treat it and clean it and wrap it.
Can you give me a first aid roll? Okay. Yeah. No big deal. You're basically lancing the blister to drain the fluid and the pus, and then disinfect and wrap it. Not a big deal at all. Very routine.
And she'll pretty much pass on and pretty much tell him that until it closes back up, do the best to keep it as clean as possible. And that it should get better and it shouldn't bother him any longer.
The man smiles and nods while slipping his shoe back on, but you definitely get the distinct feeling that he might not completely understand exactly what you said, through no fault of the translation. But after that, he will thank you profusely before heading back towards the homestead. And if you sit around and wait long enough, although I assume you guys are going to do some other stuff in that little bit of shed you've got.
Parvana's going to set up She is going to keep to the cover. Out of character, did we establish cover names? I can't remember.
Fuck, I never
It's been a while if we have. We definitely want to go
You're
through
all
and do that right now.
sister.
Yeah, I think
Fair
we're all
enough.
Sister one,
sisters.
sister 1, sister 2, sister 3.
did. And Sister Dog.
Eh.
I have a cover identity. I don't know why you guys don't.
Because I'm just the pilot, man.
Your sister Gwen.
Sister Gwen.
Little sister.
Sister Doggo.
Sister Pupper.
But the rest of y'all cover identities are your responsibility. You all are agents.
All right, everybody. What's your cover name?
I was just trying to remember if we did it or not.
We did not. And if we did, we've all forgotten at this point. So let's go ahead and take a moment and come up with a name that you're willing to use for your sister identity.
I'm gonna
Doesn't-
be evil and just say Sister Mary for myself.
Okay, that's easy to remember, which was what I was about to recommend. Pick something easy to remember. And if you have to, write it down.
Cool. I'm Dr. Ahmad.
Dr. Ahmad, okay.
I'm not gonna remember that, sweetheart.
I'm sure I won't penalize you too hard for forgetting it.
Fuck.
Heh.
Okay, after saying that, are they in pretty much a quiet point?
Yes, absolutely. Again,
After-
the village is pretty dead. You're alone in a shed.
After that, she pretty much just looks at. All right, pick a brown person name you would remember.
What?
Well, was that in or out of character that Sage said that?
I said what out of character, but she's coughing to death in the background. Hold on.
I'll try my best to remember, don't worry about it.
It's a very common name. I thought, okay, different point of reference.
Well, if that's established, Gwen would kind of be. She's not like at all involved in the whole like medical setup stuff. So she's just kind of poking around, and she'd probably go like walk around outside the shed and just the immediate perimeter to just kind of check it out. And also because Rocket is really interested in smelling everything.
Well, Sage is probably going to be following Pravana around and helping her do whatever setup that Pravana feels she could help with.
Actually, can I do a spot hidden and or scent something interesting roll?
Well, I think you've already done a spot hidden.
Not for this area. It was for way back at the docks.
Okay. Oh, that's right. Yeah, that was at the dock. Yes, you can do a spot hidden and a sense something interesting roll.
All right. Fuck.
You found
That's
a
not-
hoe.
Oh, she's gonna beat someone with this.
It is a dirty hoe.
I'm so glad no one made the other joke I could have gone there.
Ooh,
Rocket.
he's useful. Holy shit. He did something, guys!
Rocket, on the other hand, is tugging at his harness, sort of dragging you towards the edge of the property, where the farmland and the homestead ends, and you can see trees rising up into the jungle.
Gwen would let him drag her.
Is she going to call out for help or anything?
I mean, for all she knows
Maybe
right now,
have
he
to
just found a
tell
really
her?
good place to shit. So, like, it's not an alarm situation right now. How far away is she being dragged?
About 15, 20 feet. This shed is kind of on the edge of
Oh,
the
okay.
property.
Okay, if it
Not
was like
that
a
far.
football field, that
Okay,
might be a
then never
different story.
mind.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're within easy eye shot and earshot. That being
Gotcha.
said, can I get a luck roll from Rocket?
Oh shit. He doesn't have luck.
He doesn't?
It's completely empty. Yeah, he doesn't have luck.
Oh, shoot.
Now what?
Well, give me a luck roll from you.
From Gwen? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Ooh, I was so worried about that. All right.
Nice.
Okay. He drags you more or less to the edge of the property, and as you get towards the where the jungle really starts, you feel the toe of your shoe catch on something in the dirt.
And she stops and investigates.
Well, you'll find that under a fine cover of dirt, and Rocket is now sniffing around this, there's actually a hidden mat.
A map?
A mat. M-A-T.
Sorry.
Matt, get off the ground. No.
What kind of mat are we talking about? Like a placemat or?
Well, it's Oscar-winning Matt Damon.
Oh,
Matt
thank you for clarifying
Damon.
that.
Yeah, America's already sending a rescue mission to get him out of the hole.
Gwen's gonna eat dirt now. Bye.
Anyways, no, it's just like a basic something you would see covering a floor. And
Okay.
you know, they've gone to great, well, I wouldn't say great efforts, but they've definitely covered it up with dirt so that you would not immediately spot it.
Is there anything notable about this map?
Matt,
Map?
I don't know. Why don't you
I mean,
investigate?
like, is there anything obvious that I don't have to roll for?
It's a mat on the ground that's been covered in dirt. Tell me what you're going to do. How are you going to investigate this?
Well, she would stoop down and kind of nudge Rocket off of it so he chills because he's obviously interested in it. She'd get him to back off, and then she would take it and pick it up if I'm assuming she's physically able to. And,
You find that the mat is covering a small hole.
oh, well, she's careful
was-
not to fall in the hole.
Yes, you passed your luck roll. Moreover, as you lift the mat up, you can actually hear shouting from a field in a language you don't understand, as one of the farmers is now running over towards you.
Would Sage be able to understand it from within the shed?
Oh, absolutely. Farmer is sitting there yelling, "Hey, watch out, don't mess with that." Gwen,
Well-
can I get a listen check from you?
Wait, if they're inside the shed, though, and she could hear it, how can Gwen not hear it?
It's not the yelling you're trying to listen
Oh.
for.
Fair enough.
Okay, well, wow.
As you sort of turn your head to look at the farmer who is shouting at you, Rocket begins barking at the hole, and you hear a faint hiss coming from it.
Like a snake hiss?
It's definitely a snake hiss.
Like, as opposed to, like, a mechanical hiss. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, Gwen would fucking clear the area. She would jump back and drag Rocket with her so that he is out of the way, assuming that it's something snake-like, kind of get at least, like, 5 feet away so she's out of immediate danger, necessarily.
Well, as you basically drop the mat in shock and, you know, jump back from it, you hear sort of a dull pop against the underside of the mat as if something struck it. Not something particularly hard, but just, you know, pop. And the farmer now catches up with Gwen and says, "What were you thinking? There's snakes all over the place. We don't want to deal with their dens. What were you could have gotten bit." You can't understand a word he's
I
saying,
can't
mind
understand
you.
a word he's saying. So
He
she's
is-
just giving him this blank look like, dude, come on. What the fuck are you saying?
This Vietnamese farmer is sitting here lecturing you about, you know, don't mess with the snakes.
So scary.
What
What?
what did he just say?
Sage is gonna come out and she's gonna start. I guess after this, gonna start translating after, you know, since apparently the farmer's being loud and mad.
Well, not necessarily mad, concerned.
Okay. But either,
Jay, are
way,
you all right over there?
I'm fine.
Is there something you'd like to
happened?
contribute?
He was so Scottish.
Oh,
What?
Sorry,
accent.
I'm so sorry. That's why I was
apparently,
muted.
apparently I've gone Scottish now. We've
You know
gone to
what?
plaid.
the way I see it, if you're using any accent, it's applicable to whatever ethnicity you're going for. Like, that's just how it is.
I am the worst in accent technology.
I'm even worse. Gwen is supposed to have a fucking Finnish accent. What does that even sound like? But anyways,
Drunk.
Yeah, and angry. Drunk and antisocial.
Well, she would, I mean, she doesn't have to be able to understand his words to know that this guy is alarmed. And so she would be kind of doing the whole, like, hands up, like, geez, I didn't fucking know type of thing. And she would simultaneously, I mean, she's not an idiot. She would have been able to gather that unless this is some weird Cthulhu serpent under there, it's a fucking snake. And so she would have Rocket and herself out of what she would assume to be like a striking distance.
Well, with the mat in the way, the hole's blocked now.
Yeah,
And
but you never know.
the farmer, more or less finishes lecturing you and just casually kicks some dirt back onto the mat to cover it up a little bit better before giving you kind of the side-eye stare and turning back around to head back towards the field. Him being the least friendly resident you've met thus far.
Well, Gwen turns to Rocket and hang on, I have to think how to word this.
Well, right now Rocket is borking his head off at the hole.
Right. But like IRL, my dog was snake trained. And so there's ways that you can train them to associate that as like a snake and to act a certain way around that. As opposed to just, hey, it smells interesting, I want to put it in my mouth. And I can't think of a very good example for what she would do, but she would probably, I don't want to say reprimand him, but very firmly remove him from the situation so that there's some semblance of a message of that being a bad thing without actually making him feel like he did bad.
Okay, so you're just dragging him away from the hole.
Right. It's not the most effective training in the world, but it's some form of communication with him to convey that don't fucking do that again kind of thing.
Well, he borks a few more times and then gives it one final boof before following in behind Gwen.
And she rewards this and gives him a little scritches.
So, how's everybody else handling the shed right now, considering you're not playing with snake dens?
Chase is probably going to take an inventory of what's in the shed.
3 hose. One of them rusted away to practical uselessness.
That's not nice to say.
I know. A shovel. Some benches and dusty wooden tables that you might bring out if you were having company. You know, a couple people out in the backyard, you drag the tables out, sort of thing. A couple of chairs as well, just stacked up chairs. And that's really about all you're going to find. Unless you want to give me some kind of roll.
Well, of course I'll give you a roll.
Okay. The question is, are you... I want you to explain this roll to me, but what you're doing specifically before we talk about a roll, because this could be luck, this could be spot hidden, there's a few things that could work here.
Well, Chase has a pretty common, modus operandi as far as when coming into a new location. Considering this one's fairly dirty and was a farm thing, he's probably going to take one of the like rusted down hose and use it basically like a kind of a broom, just moving, dirt on the floor around kind of a thing. And just making sure there's not like a hatch in the floor, or, exposed wires, something that he needs to be concerned about, those kind of things.
Okay, then that is going to be spot hidden.
So a little bit of practical, hey, is this going to fall on our heads? A little bit of paranoid, hey, is there someone, watching us, or is there a threat in this building?
Yep.
Oh!
I see all.
You see all Jay. In fact, what you know is that this building, aside from not being watched, is a very simple wooden building with 2 double doors, one at the front, one at the back. Basically, very open construction. There are no hatches. There's nothing underneath you. It's just very much a dirt floor. There's basically not even floor under you. It's just, the wood foundations into the dirt. However, as you are sort of sifting through the dirt and checking to make sure that everything's on the level, making sure that you're not doing your regular sweep, your rusted out hoe kind of hits something metallic. And if you take a moment to kneel in the dirt and take a quick look at what it is you found, you'll discover a strange golden coin. Go ahead and add a gold coin to your inventory.
Chase picks up the coin and pockets it.
Yep. It is strikingly similar to the one you found in Myanmar.
I detect a subplot.
As if there's some sort of almighty deity throwing them in the dirt for you to find.
But only when you roll a 1.
Because this almighty deity is lacking in creativity and can't think of better ways to reward you for extreme successes.
I mean, I'm not complaining. I like the system.
Okay, so we've got benches and some chairs. We've got some rusty hose. We've got dirt floor. We've got a roof that's at least stable enough for the time that we'll be here. And no significant threats. Are there walls, or is it just like
Yes,
posts? Okay.
there's 2 walls. It's more or less 2 walls, and then the other 2 walls are doors that open outwards, double doors. Sort of the construction if you were going to park like a tractor or animals in this shed. Not quite barn
Okay.
size, but similar construction idea.
Right. Okay, then Chase kind of pulls the benches out and kind of calls to the sisters that aren't overplaying with snakes, which I guess would be Anderson.
Hey, fuck you. It's the dog. The dog is trying to get me killed. He's Satan,
I guess-
alright?
Anderson and Parvana? Parvana's still in the shed, or
Yep,
is she out with them?
Parvana
Yeah.
is setting up essentially what she would need to do examinations and treat essentially what injuries and maladies she'd expect of both the region and kind of from professions of farming and fishing, as well as setting out something for sample collecting.
Right. Chase is gonna take the benches and dust them off, basically just take them outside, tip them off, and kind of beat on them to try to get them as clean as possible. Is there running water anywhere on the property, or?
You can spot a well about halfway between the shed and the homestead. It's one of those old-fashioned hand crank wells. Rusty.
Your
Well, not
water pump?
rusty, but just a. Yeah, that's a well. Well, it's a pump, but it's a well.
Oh, I didn't realize the 2 were interchangeable. Okay.
I mean, I'm not wrong, am I?
I don't know.
Okay.
Anyway, so Chase would take the benches out and kind of bring them back in and kind of ask Parvana if these are usable as, cots at least, until they find something better or can do something better.
Those would do. I mean, that's
Better than the floor, right?
much better than the floor. Keep them off and she kind of kicks at the dust a little, off the ground.
Right.
And it's easier to treat people elevated. How wide are they? Would it look like they would have to kind of push 2 together?
No. These are. You'd be able to. I used the word bench. I should have said table. These are like outdoor furniture tables. You'd be able to lie somebody out on top of it. Not really its intended purpose, but it would work for you.
I mean, that works just fine for us, I think.
Yeah.
So we basically arrange them like, cots. They'd be spaced apart, not jammed together, nice orderly fashion. There's no sheets, and this would be against the wall, not the door.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. We don't have anything that we could do dividing walls with, unfortunately, do we?
Not particularly. Unless you can really MacGyver something.
Well, I mean, I'm not gonna take the snake mats, that's for sure.
No. That would be a bad idea.
Tell that to the fucking dog.
Nor
Let's
do
see
I
here.
think anybody's going to give up their sheets. Oh, it's what this was. See if. I wonder if there's any. Because this was an old fisherman's hut. Let's see if there's any. Let's see if there's any remaining netting or anything like that that, at the very least, would give something.
Really, no. You're not going to find any netting. Although you do have, sort of on the support beams hanging overhead, you do have where fish would have been hung, that you could have hung fabric if you could find it. But there's no netting lying around. These are clearly all the fishing equipment has been replaced by just standard farming implements at this point.
Netting wouldn't do the sheet. The walls would be to prevent, coughing and whatnot from infecting nearby patients. But hooks. Well, that's something to remember.
Not big old meat hooks. It's, little hooks for fish.
Little hooks.
Little hooks.
Just dangling overhead.
Mostly rusting.
Charming.
I don't, just because it's probably going to come up later in the campaign, can I get an estimated size on these hooks? You say little hooks. Do you mean like actual, like you go fishing with fish hooks, or do you mean like
No.
larger metal fish hooks?
Larger metal fish hooks for like drying and preserving fish. Like something that you would hang them up after you've caught them.
How much weight can they hold, roughly?
Probably 30 pounds max.
Okay, cool. And there's lots of them, or just a few of them?
There's quite a few. But they are, again, on the beams that sort of crisscross to support the roof. So not necessarily in the most convenient of places.
How high is the roof?
About 10 feet.
Okay, so that's a little bit taller than any of us could really reach at. Okay.
Yeah, easily at least. You would need a small step stool.
What's the lighting like? Is there any lighting, or is it just
No.
a dark shed? Okay.
It's a dark shed. There's nothing electrical in the shed whatsoever.
All right. Well, let's I think keep one of the side doors closed and open the biggest door, and kind of sweep out the area as best as we can. At least make it look like a clinic.
Okay. Well, as you sort of go to close one of the doors, you actually hear distantly the sound of shouting, as well as the distinct slap of feet on packed dirt. And you can, again, hear this before you see it, but momentarily later, you see a woman dressed in very modest clothing, one of the a person of the area with a adolescent child in her arms, unconscious. You can see, legs swinging as she comes running towards this shed. And she is the one shouting. She's in hysterics. Even if you understand the language, she's not making any sense as she comes rushing up to you.
To me, or to just the group in general?
The group in general, whoever's closest. Whoever's closest
Chase
to the
opened
road.
the door, that would be
Yeah.
Chase. Chase just kind of turns and yells for Sage and Parvana. Whatever they're... I guess Dr. Ahmad and Sister...
Mary.
Mary? Okay, I didn't know what her name was.
She looks to Sage and just goes, "Explain who I am," and then she goes. She Parvana recognizes this and almost immediately just goes up behind the woman and just kind of wraps her arm around and just kind of begins to drag her in.
Sage is just, ma'am, please remain calm. This is the doctor. She's gonna see you right now.
The woman, again, chokes back her tears and tries to take a deep breath to form a coherent sentence, but clearly fails the first attempt as she just kind of sputters and sobs before, again, taking another deep breath and collecting herself enough to say that he collapsed. He collapsed in the field. And she repeats that. Jesus Christ, did you just roll another one? No. Okay.
I didn't roll nothing.
Okay, sorry. I saw the chat bar move and I was like, Jesus Christ, did you roll another one on a spot
Yeah,
hidden
sorry,
roll?
no, that's me typing. Sorry.
Yeah, nope.
Yes, more coins.
Right. Sage, keep her talking. I'm gonna assume that Sage just pretty much immediately translates what she says.
Yeah, I'm automatic. She's just saying he collapsed. That's all I've gotten from her
Ask
so
her.
far.
Ask her what he was doing. Ask her if she noticed anything wrong before. Be comforting. Just make sure that she keeps talking and keeps focused.
Ma'am, please, could you tell me what he was doing? And is this a place where he usually is? What was his overall health before he collapsed?
The woman basically grabs two fistfuls of Sage's. It's not a cassock. What is it fucking called?
Habit?
Habit, thank you. Grabs two fistfuls of Sage's habit and leans into her for support. Again, choking back more tears as she tries to elaborate and says, he was out tending the flowers. He does it every day. He was out tending the flowers and just, I took my eyes off him for a few minutes and then he was on the ground. It's right next to the house.
Okay, after translating for
What kind of
Parvana?
flowers? Parvana.
Austrian death flowers.
Parvana
God.
is just kind of laying him down on the bench
Good job.
table and beginning to kind of examine and try to get a good feeling of what happened to him.
He tends these flowers every day. What kind of flowers is he tending every day?
They're just the peach flowers. They're just peach flowers. He was tending to the peach flowers on the tree, and he just, I took my eyes off him for a moment. She repeats that a few more times.
What do you need me to do?
I'm gonna turn around and again tell Bravana it was just peach flowers. I'm gonna try and calm her down and see if I can get a bit more from her.
Does he have to climb anywhere, or would he have fallen? And she's beginning to kind of look for any. Essentially, if it's a collapse, she's going to look for any signs of trauma from kind of just what happened, or since this is not exactly the best way to transport somebody who just collapsed, see if there's been any extenuated or aggravated, just immediate injuries.
Ma'am, does he ever climb the tree, or are there any snakes near that tree usually?
Snakes? No, he does climb sometimes, but he's a very good climber. He's a very good climber. As again, she repeats this a few more times, as well as cries into Sage's habit. You would be able to almost immediately, as you're examining the boy, find a knot on the back of his head. Just a bump.
Mm-hmm.
That being said, if you're going to go for a proper a good diagnosis, I'm gonna need a medicine roll out of you.
I will give you so.
Okay.
Nice.
Our body
Here's-
is a good doctor.
She is a
Wow,
very good
rolled in it.
doctor.
I didn't
What-
die.
You actually realize almost immediately that the bump on the head is minor. Maybe he did fall. It could have been just, him falling to the ground. It's a simple bruise. But you take a moment and sort of remember what you know, and you realize the boy's dehydrated, properly dehydrated. You are. It's very basic, or it's very common. You're well trained enough that you recognize it right away that this boy has just been out in the sun too long and not been pushing fluids.
All right. Well, it's beyond that. She's going to pretty much look to Chase and go to the well and fetch water, and then go to her bag. And since she pretty much did prepare for common ailments here, is going to look for any pretty much like saline hydration solution that she would have brought along.
And that would definitely be a part of your med kit. However, you're also going to find something peculiar on the young man as you examine him. The boy, and I say boy, he's probably 15 or 16, getting old enough that his mom could care, or young enough that his mom could care him, but not easily, not something she would do unless she was scared for his life. But you notice that the webbing between his fingers is more pronounced. It goes further up the digits than a normal person would, but just a few centimeters.
Okay, I'm also gonna state that the reason I asked the doc guy to bring all the fishermen in is because I was gonna have Parvana search for fish people, so vindication.
There's more pronounced webbing between his fingers, as well as you can feel sort of a strange patch on his skin that doesn't have quite the same texture. And this one's a little harder to pick up on. You can't quite be certain because he has been sweating a lot. His skin is slick, but it almost feels like this is slippery, slimy, even on a couple patches of skin across of his body as you were examining him.
Chase goes to get the water from the well.
As Chase goes to get the water from the well, you actually hear more shouting coming up from the road. Now you've drawn a little bit of attention from the farmers in the field, some of whom who've put their tools down to come gather nearby. And
Oh,
wow.
I didn't hear nothing, actually.
Well, but the farmers sort of have gathered nearby and aren't coming into the shed, but sort of peering around to see what's the big hubbub. That being said, you do still hear, despite your botched listen roll, shouting coming from up the road, followed by more of that slap, slap, slap of somebody running on packed dirt.
y'all need to invest in fish bowls, Gwen doesn't say.
Chase gets the water and pushes her way through the crowd of farmers. They're speaking. French is the only language he might have in common with them. And he's just pardon, pushing through the crowd with water.
Nobody's going to get in your way. In fact, they'll part as soon as they see you're heading to help the boy.
Wait, when you say that people are running down the road, are there more afflicted people coming in, or is this just a crowd that has been gathered?
Well, it's right now, all you know is that the farmers working in the field next to the shed have sort of gathered around you and are peering in.
Okay.
But you do hear somebody coming up the road.
Parvana, once she gets water, she's going to do essentially the more traditional treatments for dehydration, and then is going to take pretty much what would be like a damp cloth and wet around the boy's neck, and then wet that area that didn't feel quite right, and make sure that it's very, very moist.
Well, as you're treating the boy, a larger man, somebody who's packed on a few pounds around the middle, is moving with surprising speed. He barrels over the gate leading from the homestead to the actual farmland, and he comes towards the shed shouting at the top of his lungs. And unlike the woman who had come before him, this isn't upset, this is angry. This is a furious man coming barreling towards the shed.
Oh yeah, continue. Set your
Well, he's coming at you like a charging, more or less a charging bull, and his eyes are focused on the woman who's now sort of buried her face in Sage's habit, and she's continuing to cry, turning away from this man who is more or less bombarding her with a litany of how could you, how dare you, and other less palatable things said about her as he moves forward.
Chase just calls out, "Sister Gwen!"
Gwen is learning how to become wallpaper, but she would kind of jolt at her name and what am I supposed to do?
Interference.
Ah, shit. And so she she goes out and she's got the dog and she is holding on to his harness tightly. He is not going to get away from her. And she's putting herself between this charging bull and the rest of the fucking shed and telling him to calm down, which of course he can't understand.
No, he can understand, but you do manage to stop him just by physically intervening, putting yourself between him and the woman he'd come here to scream at. However, the fact that you're talking to him in a foreign language seems to set him off even more. As the volume of his obscenities rises and he begins calling Gwen now foul things under the sun, basically relating her to prostitutes and things that crawl in the dirt.
Oh, it's so good that she can't understand him. She would fucking pop him right in the mouth.
Sage is not going to translate that. She's going to turn
Good
to
for
the
her.
woman. though.
Chase makes sure the water gets to Parvana and turns around and basically goes. Now, I would like to set the scene. Both Chase and Gwen are above average height for Caucasian and Scandinavian frames.
Yep.
This is a little Vietnamese village where their average height is about 5'5".
Yep.
Yeah.
So you now have Chase, who's 6-something, and Gwen, who's 6-something, most likely.
I don't think she's 6-something,
Oh,
but
okay,
yeah,
well.
go for it.
And Rocket forming a wall now between the guy. Chase just sort of comes up and he, is he's speaking in his native tongue, or is he speaking in French, or
He's currently speaking in Vietnamese.
Chase just sort of comes over and kind of puts his hands forward, in sort of a calm, and he speaks in French and tries to get the man to calm down, relax. This isn't the place for that.
Gwen's got one hand kind of hovering over where she has the baton that Chase gave her hidden under her habit, and she's got the other hand clenched. He's not holding Rocket's leash, but is actually holding the handle on his harness. But is otherwise like the dog is now excited because a lot of shit's going on at once. But she hasn't given him any commands yet. But yeah, that's her stance.
As Chase comes up and raises his hands in a calming manner and speaks to the man in French, the incensed man turns towards Chase and says, "Don't you start! Don't you start!" Now speaking in slightly broken French, not his first language. But he now begins berating Chase. The litany turning to, "This isn't your country anymore. How dare you interfere? We were fine before you got here. What are you doing to my son?" Just unleashing absolute fatherly rage on Chase.
Chase just basically lets it go over his head. He doesn't, seem to get riled up at all. He's been called far worse things in his time. And he kind of goes, "Sir, she brought him to us. He's unconscious. We're just trying to get him some water. Calm down, okay? We're just trying to help."
I don't need no French devils getting my boy water. I know how to take care of him myself.
Oh, the
Chase just looks him right in the eye and says, "Why didn't
language.
you then?"
The man sort of taken aback for a moment.
Chase kind of steps forward and leans over the guy as if to question him.
I never had the chance. She snatched him up as soon as he fell, ran off with him. The boy's fine. He just needs some water. There's no need for any of this. You keep that devil woman's hands off of him. At this point, he does take a step forward, almost as if he's trying to now relatively ineffectively shove himself past Chase, as if he expects Chase not to put up a fight. But Jay...
Well,
Yeah, this is not gonna... I'm really hoping this... I'm gonna spend a gold coin just simply to make this exciting.
Okay.
oh, I was gonna do Chef, but okay, go ahead.
No.
Don't let me doing any more dog commands in these situations, because God knows this animal can't just...
Yeah, I didn't need that. As soon
Wow.
as he steps forward, Chase basically puts his arm up under his and puts his back leg behind his and basically flips the man face down in front of the two of them. And then Chase does a very quiet and crosses himself as the man lies face down in the dirt in front of him.
He is stunned and confused. You have a moment of silence as even the man's wife, still clutching onto Sage, is stunned into silence.
Gwen is honestly very satisfied with this
Everyone needs to back up, Chase says in French, very plainly and very strongly, but not... he's not yelling or threatening. It's everyone needs to back up. This boy needs help. It doesn't need a mob. So everyone relax. He'll be just fine.
At this point, one of the elder villagers sort of tugs on the sleeve of one of the younger villagers and whispers Vietnamese into his ear. The farmers that had gathered around more or less to watch obey without question. They back up. They step completely. If any of them had sort of poked their head into the shed, they are completely out of it now. More or less, the shed is now just you and the man on the ground, who is now sucking wind and trying to push himself up to sit. Not stand up at this point, just to sit up.
Wait. Is Chase just knocked him down? He didn't get on top of him or anything, right?
No, Chase
No.
karate flipped him. Like jujitsu flipped
Right.
his ass.
I just didn't know if he did the police thing where he got on top of him
No,
afterwards and held him down.
No.
All right.
Chase stands up and he kind of crossed himself and then told everyone to back the fuck up.
Yeah, the man right now, because he landed hard on his chest. He's sucking wind. He couldn't yell if he tried. He's just trying to get his butt on the ground so he can sit down and catch his breath.
Well, Gwen would just kind of hover within arm's reach, but not interfere with him sitting up.
Dr. Ahmad, is everything going to be okay?
The boy will be fine.
In fact, with all of the noise, he's already starting to stir out of his unconsciousness, eyes fluttering open. He sort of jumps a little bit at seeing a strange face, not quite hovering over him, but it's the first thing he sees is Parvana. So he's a little bit startled.
She does her best to just calm him wordlessly, just kind of just, you know,
Sage,
finger
see
to the
that
lip,
she's
and then
that
just
the
would pretty much signal to any essentially the insignia and symbols on her that would signify she's a doctor.
Hmm. The boy kind of he sits up a little bit, then catches sight of his mom buried in Sage's chest, and then his mom sort of sees him, and she leaps from where she'd been leaning on Sage and wraps her arms around her son, squeezing him tight to her body. And then immediately after, she leans back, kisses him on the forehead, and then cocks a hand back and slaps him across the cheek. Sage, you would understand that she chastises her boy for climbing that tree and then falling, or climbing that tree and not drinking enough water. And then immediately she's back to hugging the boy.
I'm not really sure what to do with that.
Well,
Ma'am, please just calm down. There's no reason to hit him.
Parvana just kind of pulls her back for a second. Just let it be.
the woman finishes squeezing the life out of her poor startled son before letting him go. She turns towards Parvana and Sage, and then specifically looks at Sage and begins a machine gun stream of thank yous, just absolutely as quick as she can get them out. She is thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. I can't thank you enough. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Chase just kind of nods along with the thank yous and really hasn't left from his position as the wall between the father and wife.
I'm just glad we could be of assistance, ma'am, and that we were here to be able to help.
What do I need to do anything? Is he okay?
I'm going to repeat the question to Pravana. Dr. Ahmad, she wonders if there's anything else that needs to be done, or is he good?
She pretty much would pass on. Did not drink enough water. It's hot out. It's make sure that he keeps up on that. He will be fine. A little rest until he comes to, but as of this, he'll be perfectly fine.
Is it okay if I leave him? Sorry. I just assumed Sage was just basically going to translate that back.
She does, so yeah, go ahead.
The woman's like, is it okay if I leave him with you for now?
Translating that back, Parvana wouldn't even hesitate before going, absolutely fine.
Is that in a language Chase would understand? I have to ask.
No, this is in Vietnamese.
Well, then Chase has no fucking clue.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, Sage would have to translate it to...
Well,
That's
yeah.
true, yeah.
When I translate it to Pravana, then everybody else,
then
I'd probably be using French or something. Everybody else speaks, so probably either English or Arabic.
Okay. Then yes,
English
then
is
yes,
what
you do
everybody
know.
speaks.
Yeah, then you do know, Jay. Because
I don't know. I could be talking to Pravana in Arabic. Then nobody
Well,
else
then you
would
need
know.
to tell us what language
Yeah.
you're using, because it's going to determine character
No,
knowledge.
We speak like
gonna-
20 languages between everybody. It's stupid.
I'm gonna go ahead and not be a dork and say yes. I was speaking English. That way, everybody can understand.
And Chase turns around. I'm not sure that's the best choice, considering the current incident.
I don't know if his father's gonna act like that from her just taking him to the doctor. I'm all for letting the kid stay with us.
We don't need to incite a mob. We do not have the facilities to deal with that.
I highly doubt one angry father would incite a mob when we're just trying to keep his kids safe.
No.
We'll ask him.
Chase looks down at the guy who he just had to flip because he couldn't stand there and watch his son drink a glass of water. Then looks back at Sage with "Oh, really?"
Parvana will walk up and kind of get close to, get close enough to Chase to kind of whisper and just be there are some further things I'd like to investigate, but I worry that maybe the father is trying to keep us from doing that. I do think it's best that we let this go, but at some point I'll need to make sure that this isn't a pattern, otherwise it could be dangerous.
Chase just leans in and in the same whisper says, "We need to survive to the date in that book. If we're fighting for our life for the next 48 hours, it's going to be really hard to observe what we're here to observe."
Then use your divine authority, Father.
Chase's eyes just roll up in his head.
Oh
went
god,
face
Gwen has to
palm,
try
but-
really hard not to just snort.
Yeah.
Okay, then I guess I'm going to turn to the mother. Some of us really would not mind keeping the child with us and keep making sure everything goes well for the next 24 hours. Unfortunately, we are worried about how the child's father, she motions to the guy on the ground, will react to this.
I was gonna say, why don't we just, talk to the father and see if he would concede on that or if he's gonna stick his heels in the dirt.
The woman looks at Sage and her face kind of gets serious for a moment. That, that joy of her baby boy waking up vanishes, and she nods her head seriously before turning away from Sage, moving around Chase, and approaching the father, who's still sitting in the dirt, but he seems to have caught his breath now. The father looks up at her. She looks down at him. She lifts one foot up, peels her shoe off, and smacks the father right across the face with her shoe.
And this time Gwen cannot help but just bust out laughing.
I think Sage is actually going to applaud. Just, yes!
But the woman, she doesn't stop after hitting him once with her shoe. He raises his hands, and you can hear a heated Vietnamese argument going on between the two. Before finally the man, rises up to his feet and backs off to escape the onslaught of shoe beatings. The woman sort of squares up like she's about to hit him again. He takes a step back before finally looking at Chase. And Chase, you're going to get the look that could kill. The death glare. But he does turn to walk away.
You should be damn lucky that wasn't an attack. An extreme success in a brawl would have fucking killed him.
It would have killed him instantly.
Then we have, we just leave a trail of corpses behind us. We really can't take each other anywhere.
But the man turns to walk through the farm as all of the farmers sort of watch him go before turning their backs and getting back to their regular work. And before he's completely gone, the woman cocks the shoe back and tosses it at the back of his head, hitting him one more time.
Well, we're off
Very
to a good
universal.
start here, I think.
Should I take that as we won't be having a problem with the boy's father?
If he does, if you have a problem with him, he won't eat for a month.
Then we'll be more than happy to take the child for at least 24 hours to make sure he stays well hydrated and safe.
I'll bring food by later for you and the boy.
That'd be much appreciated. Thank you.
The woman, bows deeply and goes to retrieve her shoe. You're pretty sure you can hear more of an argument further up the road, as well as more shoe strikes.
Would I be
Tactical
able
shoe
to?
strike.
Would I be able to understand this?
Give me a listen check. Hey, yes, you actually would. What were you thinking And the woman repeats, and again, you hear sort of that sharp smack of a flexible soul hitting skin. I was just looking out for the boy. I don't want any devils touching him. You know how they are. And she just retaliates by hitting him twice more with the shoe, and they start to calm down. And before long, they're out of earshot, even with a successful listen roll. Excuse me.
So that's all I heard? Okay, then.
Yeah.
I'm gonna just turn around and be like, okay, well, we kind of have the father's permission. Kind of, but he will not be endangering our safety. There will be no mob. Though apparently he's still not very happy because he keeps asking his wife, what were you thinking?
Well, no, she was asking him that.
Oh, okay, sorry. Well,
Yeah.
Well, Sage, you stay with the boy. Dr. Ahmad, I suggest you make sure he's in as best health as possible.
Understood. Understood.
Chase, meanwhile, kind of goes into the corner and picks up one of the good shovels and kind of gives it a good, sort of twisting to make sure it's not going to just snap to pieces on his hands.
No, but you do lose a chunk of it to rust as you twist it.
Is at least 70% of it still there?
70% of it is still there. You lose maybe 20% of the actual shovel, not the handle.
Chase kind of taps it against the back of his shoe like it was a baseball bat and then kind of sticks it in the ground by the door.
Yeah.
And that's for?
Just in case.
Alright. Gwen goes and plops herself back down somewhere. There's an empty space to sit. And
okay, when we say boy, exactly what age are we talking about?
Probably 15, 16, in that range.
Oh, wow. So,
Adolescent. I think
okay.
is the term I used. If I didn't, then, well, teenager. I should have said teenager because that's a little less ambiguous. Yes, it is a teenager.
Like raging hormones teenager?
oh
Yes.
my god, you
And now
can't
he's-
seduce the 15-year-old!
He's already sizing all of you up. He's pitched a
Oh,
tent.
my
Roll for
God.
boner resistance.
Sick 'em, Rocket!
No.
Somebody's got a nun fetish.
Oh my god.
Well,
Well, if he didn't before, now he does.
she's into that interracial forbidden romance shit.
Oh boy.
Chase turns to him and says, "You can't climb the ladder to heaven with one hand in your pants, son."
The boy blinks, not understanding what he said.
Chase just laughs anyway.
I'm gonna turn around just, hello, I'm Sister Mary.
Well,
There with the,
before we dive deep into that, I have the question I always have to ask you because it is 11:30, but we did start a little bit late. Would you be willing to go a little bit longer, everyone?
I'm good.
I probably wasn't gonna do anything too interesting, but sure, let's go.
Okay. The
Give me
boys.
30 seconds.
Yep. Oh dear.
He just punched his computer.
It's actually what it sounded like.
And I'm back.
Welcome back. Did you hurt your hand punching your computer?
Yes.
Roll for medical something.
One second.
Yep.
And she's having a hard time with the cough right now.
Nope. Take your time.
She's just gonna turn around and say, and introduce herself to the boy and put her hand out for her usual handshake. Be just like,
Why
hello.
did Rocket roll it?
And hello, I'm Sister Mary. We're in the Red Cross. Oh God. 1 second.
Oh dear.
It's nice to meet you. And she's gonna wait for him to say his name.
Huh? Oh. I'm
Should I
The
give
boy-
it to you?
the boy he takes a moment, looking a little flabbergasted, definitely still a little confused from the dehydration and the knock to his head, but also you can tell that, you know, maybe not thinking super clearly.
Raging hormones.
Yep. I'm Feng. He finally interjects after remembering his own name.
Well, it's nice to meet you. This is Dr. Ahmad. She points to Pravana. Did Gwen and Anderson ever come up with other names?
I don't think Gwen needs one.
No, Anderson did not, because she's not here, so don't worry about Anderson. She's been standing in the corner looking like a shifty Secret Service agent, touching her earpiece occasionally.
Sister Scowl.
Yep. She looks like the classic Catholic nun, just angry.
Somewhere we've found like a ruler to give her.
Yep.
That's what she requisitioned.
Oh God, I'm having flashbacks to at the orphanage. Anyway. I kind of want to question the boy. I just don't have any clue how the fuck to go about it.
Well, that's a good thing. There's somebody in the room that you live with that is very good at this, who would be willing to give you advice.
Gwen!
You don't live together, Darby.
We live together?
I mean, we kind of have for a while now. Might as well.
Oh, God.
Oh, you didn't mean the characters. I'll shut up.
Do you usually get dehydrated this fast? Or is this something that has happened often or anything?
Dehydrated? No. No, this is, well, it's happened a couple of times, and the boy kind of cast his eyes to the dirt, shuffling a little awkwardly. I just get busy and I don't think about it.
Has it, as you've grown up, has it happened more often, or like has it increased in the last couple weeks or so, or months?
It's gotten easier. I get headaches more quicker.
What kind of headaches?
You know, where it hurts behind your eyes when you don't drink enough. Coughing fit?
No, we're
No.
just both.
Oh, okay,
out feeling
sorry.
well, so it's hard to talk. Sorry.
Yeah, no.
Thinking is difficult right now.
Nope.
Creating a clear picture in my head is taking longer than usual.
That's okay. Do.
Gwen's gonna go shop for sandwiches. Should I roll luck?
Oh God.
Go ahead, roll
Kidding.
luck.
I'm kidding. She's not going anywhere. I promise.
No, roll luck.
No, it's okay. I was joking. It was
All
just
right,
a
I'm rolling
prank.
luck for you.
It's just a prank.
Anyway, I'm
It's just
gonna
a prick,
turn to
what?
Pravana. He says it's actually his dehydration's gotten better since he's been. Wow. It says
I
his
got a good sandwich.
A sandwich falls out of the sky and strikes you in the face. You take 2d8 damage.
It was a success.
I'm kidding.
I'm
You
not
would be
marking
lucky
that.
to die this way.
I'm sorry, Angie. You're trying to be serious. I should not be the one derailing you.
Badman.
I'm failing at being serious pretty bad anyway, so he says that his dehydration is actually be getting better as he gets older
No,
instead of
he
worse.
said it's been getting worse.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Yeah, sorry.
Okay, you know what? I'm gone. I'm
No,
not by everybody.
I heard that too because he said easier.
Well, I meant easier as
Easier
in
to
easier to
get
get dehydrated. Yeah, I
Yeah.
didn't word that properly. My bad.
It's all right. We're all
Okay.
just mental deficits right now.
Yeah. What was I saying? All right, I was turning to Ravana, and I was telling her everything he told me. Does Pravana have anything she wants me to ask him?
Hmm. She is going to instruct you to ask if he's had any issues moving his fingers or toes recently, anything in his extremities.
Oh, okay. She's gonna turn around and just. Have you had any movement issues, with your fingers or with your toes or anything?
No, not at all.
Not at all. It hasn't gotten any harder or easier to move them since you've gotten older or anything.
No, not just yet. Wait, that's. God damn it.
Somehow
Have
Chase
you
turns
started growing
around.
hair in
not even
strange
understanding
places?
Everybody mugs the camera.
Yeah.
Not yet. Oh my god. Okay, I'm gonna turn around and say what he said to Rado without the not yet part.
No, yeah, don't ignore the not yet. That's just me being dumb.
Spoilers.
I was gonna say, was that a spoiler? Does he know what's going on? Fuck.
No,
This
I
kid
just
is in
literally.
league with Rocket.
Yeah, they're in league together. It's the league of the random Fung kid and Rocket.
Boy and Satan dog. Dynamic duo.
Anyways, please continue interrogating the child.
I'm not interrogating. You're making me feel horrible.
Good. You're CIA. Get used to it.
Fuck you, Locust. I can't think as is. You know, Cygnus and me just don't get along.
All right. I think at this point, then I am going to call it for the evening because I'm tired. We're getting a little bit goofy and off track. This deserves everybody's 100% full attention. So thank you, everybody, for coming out tonight. Thank you for playing tonight. Thank you for tuning in. I love you all. It only gets worse from here.
Yeah.
All my heart to you.
Good night, everybody.
And of course, so that we can go out on
Ba-da-ba-ba-da-ba.
some symmetry. Now I'm turning off the stream. We're going on live right now. I'm turning it off.